Talk to me more about that number that just popped up on the screen
Yeah,
there.
13% turnover, that is our target number. We achieve that often, and that's a number that clients are like, "Are you kidding me?" But yes, we do that. I've heard clients say their turnover is as high as like 70, 80%, but not with us, and it takes us time. It's not like it happens immediately. We get in there, kind of goes like this, but typically it's always on the up. Um,
Yeah.
and that's our goal, that target number of 13%.
Well, and that's a 30-point reduction from the average in manufacturing right now. I mean,
Yeah.
the last year's numbers in manufacturing, this is your world, not mine, but the last time I saw it was like 43, 44% in 2023
hmm
turnover rate in just manufacturing alone. And that's astronomical, right? If you can get that down. Hello and welcome to the Manufacturing Connector, your gateway to the future of manufacturing. Our mission is to empower manufacturers with insights into the latest innovations transforming the industry. Each week, we bring you cutting edge case studies, in depth demos, and expert interviews focused on the tools, technology, and techniques driving manufacturing. I'm your host, Jim Mayer, and today we are excited to have Clay Martin, Vice President of Business Development at Good Labor, join us. Good Labor Jobs has been a premier choice for Puerto Rican, migrant, and non US labor recruitment for over 20 years, committed to enhancing lives and strengthening communities by providing meaningful employment opportunities throughout the United States. Good Labor's mission to serve others in all we do is underpinned by core values of integrity, humility, passion, accountability, perseverance, innovation, and teamwork. From their modest beginnings in 2000, they have grown to become a pivotal player in the staffing industry, placing thousands in jobs from multi-billion-dollar industrial factories to mom and pop shops in manufacturing, landscaping, construction, and hospitality. Clay Martin, with 2 decades of experience building relationships and a background in speaking Spanish, which we will get into, dedicates his work hours to business development and recruiting for Good Labor. And after work, he's adventuring in the rock. Clay will share insights on the people problems that manufacturers face and the solutions that exist to solve them, showcasing real world applications and the solutions by providing a revolutionary service. Join us as we explore how Good Labor is making an impact in the staffing industry and transforming lives through fair and desirable work opportunities. See the future of manufacturing today on the MFG Connector. Welcome to the show, Clay. How are you doing today, man?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great, Jim. I appreciate it.
Yeah, not a problem, man. Clay, you've been on a wild journey to get to where you are today. Give us a background of what led you to get here. We'll do this real
Yep.
quick. We won't dive into your whole story. That's the other show that I do. And if you're not listening to the Manufacturing Culture podcast, please start listening to that. Give us your story in a nutshell.
For sure. So, went to college in Ohio, played lacrosse, started studying abroad. I spoke Spanish, so I studied abroad in Mexico. That got me into Spanish. And then I was very motivated by a backpacking trip when I was in Mexico to join the Peace Corps. So when I was 23, about a year out of college, I found myself living with tribes in Ecuador, um,
Wow.
and serving in the Peace Corps in the jungles of Ecuador with indigenous people.
So give us an overview because this is why we're all here, right? Give us an overview of Good Labor and the services that y'all offer.
Right. So Good Labor, we're based out of Birmingham, Alabama, and we've been recruiting and relocating people from Puerto Rico for over 20 years. A lot of people do not realize that Puerto Rico is an American territory. They are U.S. citizens. We have a talent pool of over 20,000 job seekers from Puerto Rico, vetted and ready to go. So we help recruit and relocate them from Puerto Rico to come to primarily remote areas of the United States, which, problem areas. We can work in big cities, but a lot of our most successful clients are the ones that are in the middle of nowhere that have labor troubles. And We bring in labor that is trained, and we partner up with these manufacturing companies to make sure that we all succeed. So make sure good labor succeeds, the employees from Puerto Rico succeed, and then the factories.
That's awesome. So, the mission for good labor is to serve others in all we do. How does this philosophy shape your daily operations and your decision making?
Yeah, I mean, I joined Good Labor because one of the big reasons I joined Good Labor is, my background in community service and being with the people. I lived with tribes, I lived with the people I was working with. So for me, there was always a big human aspect of what I've done in my career. And I noticed that with Good Labor, we're not just, I hate using the term, but people use it in the industry. We're not just throwing bodies, these are relationships that we've built. These are professionals and job seekers that we work with and want to help grow. And we're trying to provide them a better opportunity in the United States. And so that's why we don't just work with any company. We want to work with companies that treat people well and that have the same vision as us and are going to really set them up for success.
That's awesome. Uh, Tell us about the direct hire services and how they streamline recruiting processes for permanent positions.
Yeah, so we have a couple different models, Jim, in the recruiting realm. So we have a direct recruiting model, which is basically we charge a flat fee, and our clients provide housing for these workers, and that's
Wow.
primarily for the landscape industry because a lot of landscapers have housing available. It's not so
Okay.
much involved in the manufacturing industry. So our bread and butter with the manufacturing industry is the staffing model. So with the staffing model, these employees are on our payroll, they're on our workman's comp, and we cover everything. We cover transportation, housing, flights, vehicles, furniture. I mean, we are
Wow.
literally relocating people and helping them get a sustainable lifestyle here in the United States.
Wow, that's a massive undertaking. How long does that take usually to
Couple
get?
weeks. I mean, it takes
Okay.
a couple weeks. I signed a new client today, and literally just because we already started researching the housing, we already have furniture ready to take from one client to another. I mean, I think we're gonna fill 12 positions for this new client within a matter of 2 to 3 weeks,
Wow,
which is pretty,
that's massive.
yeah,
That's massive.
yeah.
When I was poking around on the website, it looks like Good Labor offers payroll, compliance, and risk management services. How do those services complement the staffing solutions?
For sure. So I mean, overall, we're not just a staffing company. We are labor consultants. We understand the demographic of people that we're recruiting, but we're also experts in the things that you just mentioned. So, we have a large office in Birmingham, Alabama that focuses on the payroll aspect, taxes, W-2s, workman's comp, insurance, all those things. We take care of all of that. So, my sales pitch to companies is imagine if you could have 12 employees at your factory in the next 3 weeks, and you don't have to do any recruiting, you don't have to do any payroll, you don't have to do any workman's comp, you don't have to do any taxes. All you do is provide the training and the job, and we handle everything.
Wow. So, how do you tailor? I mean, you guys work with a lot of different industries, right? It sounds like industrial, technology, healthcare, hospitality, landscape. How do you guys tailor your services to meet the unique needs and demands of those different industries?
Yep. So we don't take on just any client, first off. We want to make sure this is a good fit. I mentioned the human aspect before. We want to make sure that
Hmm.
the company that we collaborate with, we want to make sure that they are going to treat people well and set them up for success because that's what we want. So we kind of go through a lot of research and conversations with these clients to make sure that we're all on the same page and we're not just throwing labor and they're just taking them and putting them to work. No, it doesn't work that way, So we really come
Hmm.
up with a strategic plan in a training program as well because we send in our trainers. We have bilingual trainers that go in that have worked in the manufacturing industry, so they already understand it. So we send in our staff that's been under our management program, and they go in and they work side by side with the trainers at the factories. And so it's a very strategic process, and like I said, we've been doing this forever, so it's pretty seamless at this.
Um, and you guys do look for that perfect match, right? Uh, through what think I saw on the website was a expert matching process. Is that so like a keyword for you guys?
Yeah, I mean, we have there's so many different elements of it, but I'll kind of give one example. So we have our bilingual staff members, our bilingual managers from Puerto Rico that go in and they work at these factories maybe for a week first, and they get an idea of what the work is like when they're there. Then we bring in our recruits and they're already
Got
trained,
it.
so then they can help train them. And then what happens next is that bilingual site manager, they don't just take any recruit. Our recruiters in Puerto Rico do a recorded interview, they send it to the site manager, and the site manager can say, nah, I don't like that guy, I don't want him. Or he can say, yes, I want him, based on the culture of the company and based on the culture of the workforce that we've already have there. Because this is a community, because we set up the housing. So we might have 6 people living in the same house, or 4 people living in an apartment, and we want to make sure that they're all going to get along together. And so the site manager is an integral part of that onboarding and accepting the recruit.
That's awesome. Going back to good labor real quick, you guys have some great values, right? Seemingly integrity, humility, passion, accountability, perseverance, and I think there were a couple others that I'm forgetting offhand. Uh, how does that? How do those values influence your client interactions and the company culture internally there at Good
Yeah.
Labor?
So our leadership, Kobe Orr and Matt Bean specifically, both of them, the two presidents and the two owners, I mean, they both have backgrounds in helping other people. That's really big for them, and our operations managers as well. So it's everyone within Good Labor that's in a managerial role. We all have that passion for helping people. And I think that's what makes us unique. We want to make sure that the people are taken care of. Again, I keep using this word, there's a human aspect to this. So
Hmm.
I'm not sure if that answered your question, but we,
Absolutely.
yeah, I mean, it's and one of our owners, I mean, he had a business a janitorial business for I think over 30 years, and so he was all about the service industry and serving clients and serving his employees, etc. And so that has filtered down to good labor. Um, you know,
Awesome.
and like I said, our all of our leadership, we're really big into service projects, helping people in other countries, helping people with the United States outside of good labor.
That's awesome. That's fantastic, man. So, Clay, share a success story with us, right? Where good labor jobs made a significant impact on one of your clients' businesses.
Mhm. So I can't name names, but
Sure.
you do work with Fortune 500 company, a multi-billion-dollar company. So this is going to be a short story, but they've had trouble getting technicians. They're in the
Mm,
middle of nowhere, and we got some high-level technicians in there, and they filled these positions that they had some baby boomers leaving that couldn't fill them, and we said we could fill that position within a matter of weeks, which we did. This is a high-level position, high-level paying position. Got them in there, and we said we can also get you some techs and some production workers. Added them in, and so the technician worker moved his family there. He got
wow.
a car. We helped him get a car. We helped him get an apartment. He brought his family there. He's been there for a year. His kids are in the local school. They're learning English and they love it. They
Yeah.
love and I'm not saying everyone in Puerto Rico wants to move to the United States or in the middle of nowhere, Wisconsin or Idaho or Ohio, wherever, but it's different. It's a different life. A lot of people want to change.
Yeah.
So that was a pretty bit special success story. Another one, we work with a company that it's in the Midwest and they build fire trucks.
Okay.
And they needed to fill different shifts, and that's one of the big things we do. Companies have trouble filling positions to start a new shift. Well, we can bring people in that want to make that shift premium, whether it's night, afternoon, night shift. We can do that because the demographic of people we recruit are willing to do that to make that extra money to work the night shift. And we said let's start with 4 people. So we started them off with 4 employees, and they said we want to see how this goes. That I think in January we had 4 employees there. Now we have about 20. And this
Wow.
is in a small town. I mean, one stoplight kind of town, just super small in the middle of nowhere, but it's successful. And our employees go there and they like it, and they like it because it's safe and it's cheap and it's been very successful. And we're promoting employees within good labor. They're production worker, then they become that bilingual site manager, or they might be training at that location. So at that location, we significantly increase production, which obviously has
That's
significantly
awesome.
increased their revenue.
I know you brought a PowerPoint with you, and you're going to walk through services a little bit more in depth and show how the process works, right?
Yep. Good labor, we're your trusted partner in connecting Puerto Rican laborers with quality employment opportunities in the United States. We've been doing it for 2 decades. Again, U.S. citizens, no visas needed.
Mm-hmm.
Here's our mission. Our main motto is to serve others. And perseverance, innovation, accountability, humility, passion. We want to make sure that all of those are incorporated in our partnerships. We can work with any type of manufacturing industry, like you said before, mom and pop shops, multi-billion dollar locations and operations. So if anyone's interested, we're always here to serve. Again, we do I-9, employee onboarding, tax forms, calculation of gross pay. We handle all the deductions, payroll filing, healthcare management, labor consulting. We take
Wow.
care of all of that.
So are these employees of good labor or
Hmm.
employees
Yep.
of the shop themselves?
Yep. These are our employees. So we pay them. They're on our payroll. We take care of all of that. We take.
And so how does that work dynamic wise in, 100-person manufacturing facility where there's already a lot of personas, but a small enough facility that there aren't so many people around? How does that work when you've got other people on board, on staff, direct through the organization, interacting with this subset that's paid potentially at a different rate,
Yep.
et cetera, et cetera?
So we discuss all of that, and that's kind of what you see here in the number 2 customized plan. So we go over all of these things with our customer ahead of time. Most customers have worked with some type of staffing company before, so they know what to expect, but our workers aren't necessarily, they're typically getting paid the same rate as a local person is. So there's
Okay.
no issues there, but we do want everyone to get along, and that's where we talk a lot with the trainers and the managers and the HR to make sure that everyone's treated fairly, and there's camaraderie is the word I'm looking for.
Yeah, that's a good word. Yeah, I like it. So, what does this then cost? And you can ballpark that, right? I saw review our pricing. What made me think of that,
Mhm.
right? So when we look at the cost of manufacturing a part, labor is a massive part of that total cost of ownership.
Mhm.
How much does this cost on top of the wages that manufacturers would typically be paying?
For sure. So we typically charge around 1.5 to 1.6x that hourly rate of the employee of what they would be paid, what they would be getting paid. So, we honestly we might be a little bit higher than a typical staffing company, but we're not a typical staffing company. We're hiring sustainable
Right.
labor for Puerto Rico for people that want to leave Puerto Rico to find better opportunities. On top of that, we're making it sustainable by providing the housing and the transportation. And so all of these other factors are incorporated into our pricing. Again, we have different types of pricing models here. I'd love to talk to anyone about that one-on-one, but we do our direct placement. And then we have our staffing model, which we just discussed. So drivers for retention, one of the main things that I think is extremely great for good labor is that top one, the recruiter and site manager video interview. So our recruiters in Puerto Rico will do a recorded interview and then they send it to the site manager. Even if the recruiter that's part of good labor says, I really want to hire this person, the site manager might say, you know what, I don't think he's a good fit. That site manager, they get bonuses. Our bilingual site managers with good labor, they get bonuses on how good things go. So if they think someone's not going to cut it, even if it's provided from our recruiting team, they're going to say, nah, send me the next person. Or if someone comes and the site manager says after 5 days,
Okay.
I don't think this guy's going to cut it, we're going to get him out of there because we don't want to waste our clients' time and money. Um, and then again,
Yeah.
these site managers engage weekly, daily, weekly, monthly with our team members. They're doing reports. They're kind of the HR person there for them, and they collaborate a lot with
Okay.
the local HR person. And then
Yeah, I get
on
it.
top
That's
on
awesome.
top of that, there's client visits from our operations manager and myself. I'm on the sales side, but I still like to get in front of my clients. I'm also bilingual, so I like to get in there and talk to the employees and our clients.
So, talk to me more about that number that just popped up on the screen
Yeah,
there.
so 13% turnover, that is our target number. We achieve that often, and that's a number that clients are like, "Are you kidding me?" But yes, we do that. I've heard clients say their turnover is as high as like 70, 80%, but not with us, and it takes us time. It's not like it happens immediately. We get in there, kind of goes like this, but typically it's always on the up. Um,
Yeah.
and that's our goal, that target number of 13%.
Well, and that's a 30% or 30-point reduction from the average in manufacturing right now. I mean,
Yeah.
the last year's numbers in manufacturing, this is your world, not mine, but the last time I saw it was like 43, 44% in 2023
hmm
turnover rate in just manufacturing alone. And that's astronomical, right?
Right.
If you can get that down to 13,
Yeah,
that's huge because
for sure.
then you're not paying for that replacement. You're not paying for the ramp up times. You're
Yep.
not paying for all these things, right?
Yep. We're paying, and we cover those costs, the interviewing, the job boards, all of that. We take care of that. And so, another thing, I've got a couple of stats written down here. It's like 75% of the workforce in the manufacturing industry, actually, sorry, no, 75% of the workforce in the United States is Gen Z or millennial, and they don't
Yeah.
typically want to work in the manufacturing industry. Our recruits, the people in our talent pool from Puerto Rico, that's what they want to work in. They enjoy it typically.
Awesome.
Yeah. And we have, like I said, a large talent pool of people that want to come over from Puerto Rico to work in that industry. On top of that, you got all the baby boomers leaving.
Hmm.
We get a lot of clients that call us and say, hey, in the next year or two, we've got a ton of baby boomers leaving. We need to fill that talent, and that's where we come in.
That's great. So let me ask you a question, Clay. They're U.S. citizens, right? Puerto Rico's a territory. Are there any issues with uh, specific verticals within manufacturing? Right, I'm thinking aerospace and defense, and some of those industries that have tighter reins on certification qualification for the companies that are manufacturing the parts in those industries. Do you come across any of those issues that would normally be found when you're hiring immigrant labor?
I haven't, most our workforce passes all background checks, or they can, they're subject to all United States background checks. So there's really no red tape in that territory. Their driver's licenses can be transferred over to each state. So I don't see any issues with that crossover.
Okay, cool. Sorry, didn't mean to derail the presentation here.
All good. I can skip this. Actually, no, I'll go over it. So we typically like to talk to the client once we've signed a contract. We talk about needs, expectations. Again, we're not just, we want to make sure this works. It's like a puzzle, and we need all this information to figure out how this is going to work. We want to know everything about the company culture, so that we go back to our team, and we all sit back in the drawing board and say, how are we going to make this work? What is the plan moving forward? What is the training schedule? There's so many different moving parts on how this can be successful, and we've been doing it for so long. It's what we do, and it's why clients
Yeah,
pay us what they pay us to do. So again, we're experts in relocating and recruiting people from Puerto Rico and making that a sustainable option for your workforce solutions.
that's awesome, man. I love it.
I've got a couple testimonials here. One, top left. Thanks to Good Labor Jobs for increasing our second shift production per unit from 30% to 89%. top right, Good Labor Jobs has helped us with our production, with the team members going above and beyond, averaging 50 to 50 hours throughout our partnership, Huntsville, Alabama. So, clients are happy. Again, we're increasing production and retention.
Well, and one of the things that I loved on the Good Labor website, Clay, was some of the testimonials from the workers that are coming over from Puerto Rico, and there was a interview that I think it was when I clicked into the YouTube channel, which everybody, I'll link that below, so that you guys can check out Good Labor's YouTube channel as well. But there was an interview with a dad and a son, and it was just a really touching story about him being able to come here and work with his son and spend time with him. It was just a really neat story. Tell us more.
Yeah, I mean, those are the stories. I appreciate you bringing that up, Jim. You know, those are the types of stories that make us happy and love what we do.
Yeah.
You know, bottom right, Juan Ayala says, "I'm thankful to work with Good Labor Jobs because they have gone out of their way to make sure I am taken care of. I look forward to continuing my career with Good Labor." So again, we take care of our people. We take care of our
Yeah.
people. They're our biggest asset.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And I mean, you guys have created a great culture. It sounds like for the people who are working directly for you, that you're in essence, I guess, subcontracting to these
Mhm.
manufacturers. Is that kind of the model there?
Yeah, that's
Um,
it.
and while those employees may not, in some instances, be a good fit with the company that they're placed at, it sounds like they stay with Good Labor even beyond leaving a potential bad fit with the company. Is that true?
That is correct. Yeah, Jim, you're basically doing my job for me saying all this. You've done your research. I appreciate it. But I also know and respect what you do, and I mean, I researched everything that you do. We talked about it, so you understand the human aspect. You understand the human relations and the HR side of all this. So I appreciate you recognizing that, and that's true. You know, if there's not a good fit, if someone says, you know, Good Labor, I don't want to be in the middle of nowhere. I need to be, you know, in a bigger city if I'm going to be happy. We'll make sure they put in their time, and then we'll transfer them, you know. They've got
Yeah.
to prove themselves at the same time, you know. We like to make sure
Yeah.
that they put in the time and prove themselves. So, but like you said, you know, we want to make this work and make everyone happy.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I love it, man.
Um, Here's a couple pictures. This is me and a couple of our welders. We can hire, you know, skilled labor as well, production workers, mechanics, welders, electricians. So we can hire all different types of talent. We have partnerships in Puerto Rico with different schools and stuff, partnerships that I've been cultivating for the past 10 years.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So tell us more. I mean, let's talk about this image specifically, right? I mean, those guys, those welders are, um, that's a skilled trade. That's something that is very intense. The training to do what those guys are doing. How confident should employers in on the mainland here in the US feel with the skill level coming from Puerto Rico when it comes to jobs like welders and machinists and those types of positions that we do struggle to fill, but they are higher skilled?
Yeah, so there's definitely, especially with something like a welder. I mean, you could say, "Oh, I need a welder," but there's all different types of welders. So we ask our clients to give us that breakdown of the requirements, but we also ask our clients to be open-minded into training our workers and helping people get educated and become better professionals. And we want to help provide that opportunity as well. So we'll bring in a welder and we can do, you know, we can, the clients, if they want to interview someone like before they come over to make sure they're a good fit, they can do that. But once they get there, that's when the training starts, you know, and we want to provide labor that is ready to be trained, not someone that's going to have to be trained from nothing. I don't know if that answers
Yeah.
your question, but um, of course, you know, coming from Puerto Rico, there is a difference in the way, you know, mechanics work and welders work, but it's not crazy. You know, it's all
Right.
the United States. And so
Right.
it's very transferable.
And are there apprenticeship programs and things like that available to people over in Puerto Rico as far as like Department of Labor recognized apprenticeship programs that you are able to pull from and bring over here?
We work a lot with different schools. We work with trade
Okay.
schools. We have partnerships with trade schools, and that's where honestly, a lot of people think that they can just go down to Puerto Rico and make these connections, but everyone's trying to do that. These are partnerships that I've been working on since I was in my late 20s, and I turn 40 next year. So, I mean,
You're a
yeah,
young buck, Clay.
that's
You're a
the first
young buck, man.
that's the first time I've said that. Oh gosh, this is going to go out to the entire internet. So, that's the thing. I guess the point I'm trying to make is people think that, oh, if Clay can do it, we can recruit from Puerto Rico. If good labor can do it, we can recruit from Puerto Rico. It's not that
Sure.
easy. It's really not that easy.
Yeah.
Just because you speak Spanish, it's not that easy. These are partnerships that take a long time to cultivate. I spent a month in Puerto Rico. I bought a one-way ticket and I rented a purple Jeep and I went down to Puerto Rico and I asked my best friend to join me. And he said, "How much can you pay me?" And I said, "I have no idea, but I'll pay for your food and you can sleep on the floor at my hotel and I'll buy you some beers and we'll go have a good time." And that whole month we were building partnerships. We were taking
That's
people out to
cool.
lunch and showing them that we care because a lot of people just want bodies and and that's where it comes in. My experience in the Peace Corps and all that kind of stuff has really played into the success of my old business MRC and then also collaborating now with Good Labor. It's like that's that's why the effort it's taken to build these partnerships, not only with the trade schools, just with people in Puerto Rico in general. Our reputation is so important to us, and we want people to trust us. So when a worker calls me and says, "Hey, I heard you got my cousin Juan a job 3 years ago. Can you give me a job?" I'm like, "Yes, it's working. Our reputation
That's
is
cool.
working."
I love it. I love it, man. Cool.
Keep going.
Yeah, keep on.
Awesome. Here's a picture of our team. Got our president next to me, got my sales partner, and then our two operations guys. So love my team. Big shout out to everyone. There's a lot of people missing in the picture. This is just some of our people in Birmingham, but we also have our recruiting team in Puerto Rico.
So looking ahead, Clay, what's next for Good Labor, right? What kind of goals, initiatives? So how are you guys going to build off of this?
We're growing a lot in the direct placement of high level employees. So not just entry level positions or production workers from Puerto Rico, but we're hiring electricians, technicians, HVAC, positions like that. But we also have the ability because we have a stellar recruiting team and administration team that we are recruiting high level executives as well. So that's kind of the next thing, growing as a recruiting company, not just doing recruiting from Puerto Rico. On top of that, we are expanding into the local staffing. So what I mean by that is companies that might be in, let's say, Cleveland, and they have trouble hiring people. Well, we have a bilingual staff. We can go in there. We have connections and we have a network of all different job seekers, so we can tap into that local labor force and not just bring people from Puerto Rico. We can tap into the local labor force and where we don't have to provide housing, which is going to bring down that rate a little bit. So yeah.
And I guess that brings up a point that I thought about earlier and forgotten and now remember again. Say I'm 22 years old, right? A young kid again. At 22 years old, I was living in Colorado, but I wanted to get to California, right? Could I say, "Hey Clay, I want to come work for Good Labor, but I want you to handle my travel, my move, my housing, set all of that up for me because I don't want to mess with any of that. I'm a machinist or I'm a carpenter
Sure.
like I was at the
Yes.
time.
Yes.
Uh, Clay, set me up."
Yeah, we do that. I mean, we don't just hire people from Puerto Rico. We hire all different uh, ethnicities and from different states. We have people at one specific client that I'm thinking of. We have like a bunch of people from Puerto Rico, but then we have a couple other employees that are they found us on our website and they said, "Hey, I want to find an opportunity with a good company. I don't have the money to buy a car. I don't have the money to buy furniture or to sign a lease or whatever." We take care of all of that. We're literally helping people accomplish their dreams. And that's what I love about good labor. And that's what we want to do more of, is let anyone get a job through us. You know what I mean? I don't, it doesn't
That's
matter
awesome.
what race they are. It doesn't matter if they speak Spanish or English. You know, we want to help them relocate to another place and have a good job, and we set them up with that housing and transportation.
In all industries, people talk about having the right person in the right seat all the time, right? But for that person that needs to be the right person in the right seat, they also have to be in the right place,
Really?
right? And because you could have the right person in the right seat, but in the wrong place. If they hate the snow, let's get them out of the snow. If they hate 120 degrees or whatever it is today, and they want to be in the mountains of Colorado, let's get them in the right place, right?
Yep.
And I think that a lot of people look at uh, where they live as a limiting factor to how far they can go in this life.
Yep.
And it sounds like you guys are really changing that dynamic. Thank you very much for being on today, man. I really appreciate
Yeah.
it.
Thank you. Have a great weekend. I appreciate it.
And folks, thank you very much for joining us on the Manufacturing Connector. Very special thanks to Clay Martin from Good Labor for sharing his expertise and shedding light on the solutions to one of the biggest challenges that the manufacturing has, which is finding good skilled labor. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel so you never miss an update. Hit the bell icon to get notified every time we release a new video. We'd love to hear your thoughts and questions in the comments below. What challenges are you facing in your journey? What topics would you like us to cover in future episodes? I want to know all those things. So folks, stay connected with us on social media for more exclusive content and updates. Follow us on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. Remember, at the Manufacturing Connector, we're here to empower you with the latest innovations and insights in the manufacturing world. Join us next time as we continue to explore the future of manufacturing, one story at a time. Until then, keep innovating, keep connecting, and see the future of manufacturing today. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next episode.